Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down fascinating new research into bite-sized conversations.
Today, we're looking at a paper that peeks inside the mind of an AI to figure out how it actually, thinks. And the answer is not at all what you might expect.
Right. When I think of an AI solving a hard problem, I picture a single, hyperlogical superbrain, methodically crunching numbers and following a straight line of logic from A to B.
That's what most people think. But this paper, titled Reasoning Models Generate Societies of Thought, suggests it's less like a solo genius and more like a chaotic, argumentative, and surprisingly productive committee meeting happening inside the AI's head.
A committee meeting? So what, the AI has multiple personalities?
In a way, yes. The researchers found that the best performing AI models, the ones that are really good at reasoning through complex problems, don't just follow one long train of thought. Instead, they seem to simulate a debate between different internal voices or perspectives. They call this a society of thought.
Okay, you have to explain that. How can one AI have different voices?
So the researchers compared two types of AI models. You have your standard instruction-tuned models, which are trained to follow instructions really well. You ask it a question, it gives you an answer.
Like a very obedient assistant.
Exactly. But then you have these newer reasoning models, like one called DeepSeek R1. These are trained differently. They're encouraged to think before they give an answer, to generate a long chain of thought. The key is that they are rewarded for getting the right answer, not just for following instructions. So they have to figure out the best way to get there.
And the best way, it turns out, is to have an argument with yourself.
Pretty much. When the researchers looked at the chain of thought text produced by these reasoning models, they found it looked a lot like a human conversation. The model would ask itself questions like, wait, what if we tried this instead? It would propose one idea, then another voice would pop up and say, no, that can't be right, because...
So it's creating conflict and then trying to resolve it.
Precisely. They found a lot more of what they call conversational behaviors, question answering, perspective shifts, conflicts, and then reconciliation, where the different views are integrated into a final answer. The standard models, by contrast, produced much more straightforward, monologue-like reasoning.
That's wild. It's like the AI is playing devil's advocate with itself. But how did they know these were truly distinct perspectives and not just a weird writing style?
This is where it gets even more interesting. They used another AI to act as a judge. They fed it the reasoning text and asked it to identify the different personas or voices it could detect in the conversation.
An AI judging another AI. What did it find?
It found that these reasoning models generated a much greater diversity of internal voices. For example, in one chemistry problem, the judge AI identified 5 distinct personas. There was a planner who broke down the problem, an associative expert who recalled similar reactions, and a critical verifier who was skeptical and checked for errors.
And these personas had different personalities?
Yes, the judge AI even rated their personalities on the standard Big Five scale that psychologists use. The critical verifier, for instance, was low on agreeableness and high on conscientiousness, which makes perfect sense for a fact checker. These diverse personalities and areas of expertise were debating to find the solution.
Okay, that is just incredible. But the big question is, does this internal debate actually cause better reasoning, or is it just a quirky side effect?
The researchers wanted to know that too, so they did an experiment that sounds like something out of science fiction. They used a technique called mechanistic interpretability to look inside the neural network, its brain, so to speak.
Peeking under the hood, what did they find?
They managed to isolate a specific feature that corresponded to conversational surprise. Think of it like a little neuron that fires up when the AI generates words like, oh, wait, or however. It's the feature for when one internal voice interrupts another.
So they found the aha or hang on a minute button inside the AI's brain.
Exactly. And then they pushed it. They artificially amplified this surprise feature while the model was trying to solve a tricky math puzzle, and the results were stunning.
Don't leave me hanging.
Without amplifying the feature, the model's accuracy was about 27%. When they cranked up the surprise feature, its accuracy more than doubled to nearly 55%.
Wow, so forcing it to have more of these conversational back and forths literally made it smarter. The debate is the secret sauce.
It really seems to be. And they backed this up with one more experiment. They took a basic AI model that wasn't very good at reasoning and trained it by only rewarding it for correct answers. They didn't give it any instructions on how to think.
And what happened?
It spontaneously started developing these conversational behaviors on its own. It learned through trial and error that simulating an internal debate was an effective strategy for getting the right answer.
So, when left to its own devices to figure out how to solve problems, the AI invents a society of thought.
It does. And they also found that if you give a model a head start by pre-training it on multi-agent dialogues, it learns to reason much faster and more effectively than a model pre-trained on simple monologue-style thinking.
So, the big takeaways here is that better AI reasoning isn't just about more computing power or longer chains of thought. It's about the structure of that thought. It's about creating a system that can simulate diversity and debate.
Exactly. It's a bit like the wisdom of the crowds principle. A diverse group of people debating a problem will often come to a better solution than a single expert working alone. It seems the most advanced AIs have figured out how to harness that power, not with a crowd of other AIs, but with a crowd inside their own mind.
It completely changes how I picture AI. It's not a single monolithic intelligence. It's an internal chorus of competing, collaborating voices.
And this paper suggests that understanding and encouraging that internal diversity might be the key to building even more capable and robust AI systems in the future.
A fascinating glimpse into a very different kind of mind. That's all the time we have today. Thanks for tuning in to Daily Papers.